Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Tomorrow we will be in the base midrash. Okay. Maish and I worked it out. They're going to start upstairs here. And then when the women come just at 9 o'clock or just before that, they'll go down to the base, to the shul. And that's why we'll be able to go into the base midrash after the davening for Rosh Chodesh tomorrow. Okay. If I forget to announce it a second time, please remind me.
What about Wednesday?
The women don't have it. They have it only on the first day of a double, you know.
Whatever happened to Marcos? Is Marcos coming to anymore? Is he still here?
I believe he's still here. Occasionally I get an email from him. I have called him every so often. I've invited him to the house, you know, for a Shabbos meal. Oh yeah. That was a real, again, another example, unfortunately, of
Yep. Who are you saying, Marcus?
Marcus Tellerman.
Marcus Tellerman.
Okay.
Women are going to be up here tomorrow?
They will be up.
I don't think so.
I don't know. You know,
They may have enough food to get to eat on.
I don't know. I just tried again this morning.
Morning.
Okay, we have a show and tell today also. We have Mazel Tov for the good events. And may the Neshama have an Aliyah. I know you've got your site this week.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Okay, good morning, Harvey. Good morning, Ruvain. Okay, let me start off with the, quickly with the sponsors, and then we'll go right into the Gemara. I have a handout also to pass around this morning. Okay. Learning sponsors, Sue and Arnie Garlick in memory of Malka Pro Man and Philip Man, and Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Beryl ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Yosef Meir ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Henya Rivka Pro Rosna bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, in memory of family murdered in the Holocaust. Arav Tzvi Hirsch ben Shlomo Yaakov, Sarah ben Ephraim, Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Ephraim ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Adia bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Miriam bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Pesel ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shalom ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shlomo Yaakov ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shmuel ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Sharon and Fred Liska, their family and many friends, in memory of her dear mom, Harriet Friedman, Edel Bas Yaakov, Leslie and Gail Kaplan, in memory of their parents, Harry and Marjorie Sedell Irving and Pro Kaplan, friends of Avi Gidler, Avram Meir ben Shimon, and Martha Gidler, Charna Bat Yeshaya. Yeah. We're not there yet, but what's going to be on the idea of the spindle. You got it upside down. Okay. All right. Okay. Charlie, friends of Joe Wolf, Yosef Ben Chaim, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren of Toby Paris, Saratova Bad Yisrael Dov in her memory. Charlie Galfenstein and Sam Levine in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachel Marta Bat Asher. Friends of Nina Monester, Nechama Asna Bad Yitzchak Aharon. Many friends of Stephen Vigdor, Zeicher Nishmat, Simcha Melech Ben Meir Haleb Halevi. Friends of Marcy Kurtz in memory of her great niece, Leah Bracha. A Month of Learning by Stanley Presser in memory of his mother-in-law, Golda Leber Bat Leber, his mother, Leah Bat Yehuda, and his wife, Ruchel Mincha Bas Moshe. Carol and Josh Sanborn in memory of her father, Yoshua Shia ben Moshe Yehuda HaKohen. David and Sharon Carpel, in memory of his father, Zeb Moshe ben Shlomo Yaakov. B. Pizer, in memory of her mother, Razel Bas Shammai. We have a month of learning in honor of Rosalind Greenberg Haskell's special birthday, sponsored by Grace and Julius Rosenzweig's children, Barbara Rottenberg, Aaron Berenson, Judy Friedman, and Alan Rosenzweig. We have a week of learning by Judy Schiff in memory of her mother, Chaya Chava Bat Menachem Mendel. Today is the 31st of January, a day of learning in memory by Mel Grossman in memory of his wife, Rachel Bat Moshe, by Sharon Sittner in memory of her father, Yosef Mordechai Ben Yaakov Leib, by Dave and Ann Klar in memory of his mother, Zisel Bat Rav Moshe Asher Zelig, also by Eliza Poyev, in memory of her brother, Yerachmiel Dan Ben Avram Yitzchak Halevi. May Shemas have an Aliyah, Kranker Rafia Velti Yeshua Shema Taliyah, and Lechol B'nai Yisrael a good Gebenchtjahr. Okay. I am Pat. There is a, all right, that's going around. Okay, thank you, Zeb. Okay, when we get to the idea of how to spin to make or do something with talus, that's what the picture is for. Okay, where are we picking up? On Yud Chet Amud Beis towards the bottom, right, at the Mishnah. Okay, Ein Kotvin Shtare Chov B'Moed. One does not write documents of obligation. Okay, what do we mean an obligation? It's for debts, documents of that nature. Okay, all right. Ve'im eino ma'amino, but if you do not trust the person, she'ein lo ma'yochal, or if the sofer does not have what to eat, is how I understood it. Okay, harei ze yichtov, then he should write it. Okay, all right. Ein kodvin sfarim, one does not write sifrei Torah, utfilin or tefillin, or mezuzot b'moed during Chol HaMoed. Ve'ein magihin et ot achat afilu b'sefer Ezra, and one does not even correct one letter, in the Sefer Ezra. The Sefer Ezra is the special Sefer Torah that was kept in the area of the Beis Hamikdash, in the, I don't think it was actually kept in the courtyard, but it was in the area, and that was the Sefer Torah by which was used in case there was any questions about language or structure in the Sefer Torah. Okay? Right? Rabbi Yehuda Omer Kotev Adam Tfilin Mezuzot La'atzmo. According to Rabbi Yehuda, even though the Mishnah, he disagrees with Tanakama and says one could write, some tefillin, some mezuzah for oneself. And now we get to our piece, V'tove al yurecho, and he spins the thread and to make a talus. Says Rashi, hachutin aval lo biyado bein la'atzba'otav ubepelach kederech chol. Okay, so that he cannot do it in the normal manner. But he does not use a spindle, and that is what that picture is going around. That the handout is for you to see how they used a spindle for the thread in order to spin and make a talus. But what did they do? They would wrap the thread around their thigh, and then pull it off that way and feed it in order to produce it. All right, so that we're going to come back to that issue shortly. All right, Gemara on top of Yud Tet Amud Aleph is our new daf for today. Tanu Rabbanan system, it says a brighter. Kotev Adam Tfilin Mezuzot La'atzmo. According to this brighter, no different than what the Tanakama said in the Mishnah, a person could write these items for oneself. V'tove al yurecho tchelet letzitzito, and one could spin the tcheles, the special blue thread. All right, and that's also connected with on that handout. You'll see there. All right, for his tzitzit. La'acherim b'tova. And he can do so for others as a favor. Okay, in other words, not for payment. Okay, Divrei Rebbe Meir. That's the view of Rebbe Meir. Okay, Rebbe Yehuda Omer Ma'arim umocher et shelo. Okay, he could use subterfuge, and in other words, make or finish making an item for himself, and then subterfuge sell that. Okay, choser v'kotev la'atzmo, and then come back and make a cave and write for himself. So the existing pair of tefillin that he has, or the existing mezuzah, that he could sell, okay, but then go back and write one for himself, right? Rabbi Yossi is going to give a different opinion than Rabbi Meir or Rabbi Yehuda. Omer kotev umocher kedarko. According to Rabbi Yossi, he can write and sell, okay, in the normal manner. All right? Yes, you've got Koren, that's why. Kedei parnasato, in order to have money for his employment, for his foodstuffs, sustenance. No, in other words, notice that's the original Mishnah did not say for the tchelis, did it? But in this case, the Braita says for tchelis, which implies what, Chaim? What? No, that implies that there was already a machloket then as to whether tchelis was required, just as there is still a machloket now. If you go to Eretz Yisrael and you go to the, what's her name? Mrs. Sherman, her grandson. Sturman, thank you. Yeah, right, Baruch. I went there, he gives a whole shiur, and they have a whole site in which they explain. It's a great thing, by the way, to visit. It's not far from Ma'ale Adumim. So if you're in Eretz Yisrael, it's well worth schlepping out there, okay? Because they also explain about what tchelis is with the clothes of the Kohen Gadol, okay? And how it's done, the whole, okay? But anyway, so, but it implies that there was a machloket then, just as there is a machloket still today, okay? All right, so what happens? Kadei parnasato, for his sustenance, right? Ore le Rav, the Rav Chananel. And Rav taught the following to Rav Chananel. Va'amre la Rabba bar bar Chana, the Rav Chananel. And others say it was Rabba bar bar Chana who taught it to Rabbi Chananel. Halacha, the law is, kotev u'mocher kedarko, kadei parnasato, that it is permissible for him to write and to sell tefillin and mezuzahs for his sustenance. Okay? Now we get to the spinning. V'tove al yurecho tchelet. And according to the Braita, remember, not, I don't think the Mishnah said it, right? The Mishnah simply said, right? Right, the Mishnah, right? Simply said, "V'toveh al yirecho techelet." Right, so it did refer to it. I'm sorry, right? So it did refer to the chelet. Okay, so what happens? Tanu Rabbanan, says the Braita. Toveh adam al yirecho techelet letzitzito. That a person can spin the around his thigh the techelet for his tzitzit. Aval lo ba'evan, but not in using a stone. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. That's the view of Rabbi Eliezer. So they would tie a stone. They would have the thread and wrap it at the bottom, and they could spin the stone in order to, right? Okay. V'chachamim omrim, but the sages say, af be'evan, even with a stone, he could do it. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Mishmo, he says, right? Be'evan, aval lo bepelech. He says it's okay with a stone, but you can't use a spindle. And that's one of the things that that picture shows us. Okay? Is the use of a spindle. Okay? That's from the Koren edition. Okay? V'chachamim omrim, bein ba'evan, bein ba'pelech. But the sages said, instead they said kedarko, okay, they said one could use a stone or a spindle. Ma Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, v'chein Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Halacha bein ba'evan bein ba'pelech. Okay, according to Rabbi Yochanan, there the law is like Chachamim. They could use either the stone or a spindle. V'halacha kotev kedarko umocher kedei parnasato. And again, the law is that one can write according to the normal manner, tefillin or mezuzot, but not Sefer Torah. Okay, because the art Koren at least had a note that because the sofer can't finish it, okay, perhaps within the entire time frame of Chol HaMoed, and therefore then can sell it for somebody to use after Yom Tov, okay, it's permissible, but that's not possible because of the amount of time taken. Yes, Erwin.
What if he wrote it or he sits down to the last?
What about that? The answer would still be no. Okay, because why? Every time he writes Hashem's name, what does he have to do? Go to the mikveh. All right?
Right.
So that's the issue. So he would not be able to finish a Sefer Torah in time. Okay, so that would be the case.
They were professional aside from that made a living being a president. We're not professional census makers.
That's right. They only got fringe benefits, Chaim. I know. Okay. I couldn't resist. Okay, our new Mishnah. Hakover et meito. Okay, now what I want us to see here is we're going to see that there is a slight difference in what we see was their primary minhagim, okay, in terms of a mace versus ours. When are the three most important or most significant aspects of Avelus? Okay, if you look at even today's halachic sources, they will tell you if somebody cannot observe a complete week of Shiva, what do? They must observe at least 3 days. So here, we need to keep that in mind because that was the original, apparently, minhag, I'm suggesting, all right? So it says, what?
What if the Yom Tov comes after 2 days?
Baruch Shekivanta. Let's see what the Gemara says there. Okay? All right. Hakover et meito. Okay. Shlosha yamim kodem laregel. One who buries his deceased, says the Mishnah, 3 days before the holiday. So in other words, this is before beginning of Pesach or before the beginning of Sukkot, right? What happens? Okay. Batela hemenu gzerat shiva. Therefore, that ends and breaks the shiva. He does not have to observe further more days of shiva. Shmona, if he observed 8 days before the holiday, bitlu himenu gzerat shloshim. He's finished the shiva, okay, and now what happens? The holiday comes, right? His shloshim is nullified. Okay? Mipnei she'amru, because they said, Shabbat ole ve'ena mafseki. Shabbat is included and it doesn't break the Shiva or the Shloshim. Regalim mafsikin ve'enan olim. The holidays, right, break and they are not included. Okay? So, okay, our question naturally is going to be, okay, if that's the case, what about, right, this whole issue of the death and burial on Chol HaMoed? That's the Mishnah doesn't tell us yet. Okay, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, he says, Mishacharav Beit HaMikdash Atzeret Kishabat, according to Rabbi Eliezer. Remember why? When we had the temple, when they could bring offerings for Shavuos, even those days afterwards. For 7 days, they could bring the korbanos for Shavuos, and therefore they made it a parallel to like Pesach or Sukkot. Once the temple was no longer in existence, and one could no longer bring korbanos for Shavuos other than the one day, okay, his argument is, therefore, it's only like, right, in that case, like Shabbos, right, and therefore, it would be included in the morning. Okay, Rabban Gamliel Omer, says Rabban Gamliel, Rosh Hashanah v'Yom HaKippurim keregalim, that the two of them are like other holidays. V'chachamim omrim lo kedivrei zeh v'lo kedivrei zeh. It is neither like this one nor like that one. Okay, namely, Ella Atzeret Kiregalim, but Shavuos is going to be considered like any other holiday. Rosh Hashanah v'Yom Kippurim kishabbat. Okay, they would be like Shabbat. In other words, they would not break Shiva or Shloshim. They would be like that. Yes, Al. We don't. What the halacha is like Rabban Gamliel. Okay.
My aunt, for example, was Niftaret on Erev Yom Kippur, so my father never said Shiva and never had Shloshim because
My mother-in-law died, was buried Arab Shavuos. My wife had nothing.
Yeah.
She said Shiva in the cemetery.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Okay.
on Yom, you gotta sit after Yom.
Right. If it's on Chol HaMoed. Right. Okay. On Yom Tov. Right.
It's on the Chag itself.
Right. Okay. Let's go on. Gemara. So we see, by the way, that the Mishnah reflects one issue in a machloket, whereas later, of course, based on, as we just said, the halacha is actually like Rabban Gamliel in that case, that Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are considered like regalim. Let's go on. Amar says the Gemara. Amar Rav says Rav. Gzerat batlu. The Gezerah of Shiva was nullified. Yamim lo batlu. But the days themselves were not nullified. B'chein amar Rav Huna. And likewise says Rav Huna. Gezerah, again, the decree batlu for Shloshim. Yamim lo batlu. But the days were not. Okay, so what does that mean? In other words, the question is, were there certain practices that they still maintained some aspect of Avelis, even though it was afterwards? That's what the Gemara is going to clarify. Okay, V'Rav Sheshet Amar, Afilu Yamim Nami Batlu. Even the days were nullified. Ma'itama Yamim Lo Batlu. What was the reason? What we say that the days were not nullified? She'im Lo Gilach Erev Haregel. Okay, we're going to see now what the Gemara meant, right? If one did not have the opportunity or the time or the situation to shave or haircut, okay, on the eve of the holiday, what happened? Asur legaleach achar haregel. In other words, what would happen is he can't shave during Chol HaMoed, and after the holiday, he would still have to observe, let's say, Shloshim, and in that case, would still not be able to shave. So from that point of view, the days after the holiday there were still some observances connected with Avelus. Okay, that's the implication here. Okay, Asur legaleach achar haregel. But the Gemara is going to question that. Vahatanya. But aren't we taught in the Braita the following, right? Hakover et meto shlosha yamim kodem laregel. Okay? Aren't we taught that one who buries his deceased 3 days before the holiday, but lahimenu gzerat shiva, that we nullify for him the decree of observing Shiva. Shmona yamim kodem laregel, 8 days before the holiday, but lahimenu gzerat shloshim, that it's nullified for him the decree of observing shloshim. Okay, which would seem to imply from our Mishnah that there should not be any kind of leftover, so to speak, or still any kind of avelus going on. Okay, which would again imply that if the person did not get to cut their hair, okay, or shave before the holiday, right? What would be the case? They couldn't do it during the holiday, the Chol HaMoed, but after the holiday, they should be able to do so.
But he still says you have to have 3 days before. So
Well, that's the case. So we're going to see. All right, that's what we're going to see. Okay, Umigaleach erev haregel. So if he shaves before the holiday, im lo gilach erev haregel asur. All right, that would be if he, right? But if he did not shave before the holiday, it would be prohibited. Legaleach achar haregel. He would not be able to shave till after the holiday, 30 days later. Okay? All right, so it would mean, okay, that whole period. What? In other words, if he didn't shave before the
No, I'm saying not 30 days in total from before.
no, you'd have the holiday, then he'd have to observe 30 days, then he could shave.
So you don't take into account the burial before the holiday.
Well, that's the question. No, the question is, did he shave before the holiday?
He did. So
If he didn't,
and he has a whole 30 days after.
then he has a 37, 38, whatever days that he doesn't shave, right? Okay. All right, Asur legalech achar haregel until the end of the 30 days. Now, let's go on as we see Abba Shaul Omer. He says, Mutar legalech achar haregel. He claims that it's permissible to shave then after the holiday. Okay, and we saw that one could determine that theoretically based on the Mishnah. Shekashem shemitzvat shlosha mivatelet gzerat sheva, that the same way the mitzvah of observing the avelus for the 3 days therefore nullifies the 7. Kach mitzvat shiva mivatelet gzerat shloshim. So likewise, okay, the mitzvah observing the 7 days of Shiva is going to nullify the decree of the 30 days. Shiva, asks the Gemara, the 7? Vaha anan shmonatznan. But here we taught, our Mishnah said 8 days. Kasavar Abba Shaul, but Abba Shaul was of the opinion, miktzat hayom kikulo, that part of the day is like the entire day. And by the way, that is the halacha today as well. Okay? V'yom hashvi'i, yom shvi'i, olelo lakan ulakan. And the 7th day then applies to this and applies to this. Part of the day is Shiva, the other part of the day is not. Okay? Amar Rav Chisda. And Rav Chisda says, Amar Ravina Bar Shila, in the name of Ravina Bar Shila, Halacha ka Abba Shaul. The law is like Abba Shaul. And that is the case. It's Tzat Hayom. Umodim Chachamim, and the sages agree, La Abba Shaul, with Rabbi Shaul, Keshachal Shmini Shelo Liot b'Shabbat Erev Haregel. That's the case, the sages say, when the 8th day of the morning comes out on Shabbos. All right, and that Shabbos is the eve of the holiday, starting Saturday night. Therefore, the person could get their shave or haircut on Friday. Okay? Shemutar legaleich be'erev Shabbat, that it is permitted to do that on the eve of Shabbos. Keman azla hada amar Rav Amran amar Rav, like that which was stated by Rav Amran in the name of Rav, namely, Avel kevan she'amdu menachamin me'etzlo. Okay, the mourner, once they have gotten up from receiving the condolences, okay, by him, by that person, mutar berechitza, is then permitted to bathe. Keman, according to whom? Abba Shaul, like the view of Abba Shaul, who says miktsas hayom kekulo. Another way, Amar Abai, and therefore Abai states, halacha Abba Shaul biyom shiva. The law is like Abba Shaul on the 7th day. Okay, umodim chachamim la Abba Shaul biyom shloshim. And the sages also acknowledge the view of Abba Shaul on the 30th day. Da amrinan, as we say, miktsat hayom kekulo, that part of the day is like the entire day. Now, going on, Rava Amar says, Rava halacha ka'Abba Shaul biyom shloshim, that the law is like Abba Shaul on the 30th day. Ve'ein halacha ka'Abba Shaul biyom shiv'ah, but the law is not like him, says Rava, on the 7th day. Unahardai amrei, but the Nahardiyans say halacha ka'Abba Shaul bazo ubazo. The law is like Abba Shaul both on the 7th day and on the 30th day. And what do we follow? That's one. Right?
The issue seems to be whether he holds mitzvah yom kippur or not.
Exactly.
So how could he hold in one case and not the other case?
How could he hold it? Because he may hold like the Mishnah that says it's only that particular unique situation when it's Erev, when the 8th day of the Shiva comes out on Shabbos before the holiday. So if he holds that, and he holds that Miktsas Hayom is not like Kulo, that would be the answer. Okay? All right. Okay? So we see that was the case. The Amar Shmuel, and here's we get the clincher. Shmuel halacha kedivrei hamekel ba'avel, that the law is like the leniency. Okay? In that case. All right. Let's go on now. So, okay, we're now going to get a slightly different question. Okay? Our classic question being Shloshim Yom Minalan. Okay? The Gemara wants to know, fine, I probably can find a source to prove Shiva, all right, is D'oraita. Okay? Can I have any kind of source, D'oraita, to prove about Shloshim? Okay? So the Gemara comes to tell us the following. Yalif Pera, we're going to learn Gzera Shava from the word based on the word Pera here. Mi Nazir, from the example of the Nazarite. Kativ Hacha, as it's written in one place. Rashechem al Tifrau, that your hair, right? In other words, when the Kohanim, particularly Aaron, was told about the death of his sons, not to disturb his hair, his head, right? Uktiv hatam, and it's written here, Gadol Peres Se'ar Rosho. And that's the Nazir, right? That his hair goes all sorts of places, askew and all, right? In other words, it's an overgrowth. Malahalan Shloshim, like there for the Nazir, it's 30 days. That's the minimum Nazirus, right? Shloshim, Afkan Shloshim. So here too, it's 30 days. Vahatam Minalan, and there based on what is it in the Torah? Amar Rav Matana, says Rav Matana, Stam Nazirut, Shloshim Yom. That the basic minimum time period is 30 days for Nazirus. My Tama, what's the reasoning? Amar Kra, says the following pasuk. Kadosh Yeh, okay, holy he is in his being, so to speak. Yeh, being, begematria, tlatin havim. The word Yeh, Yud is 10, Hey is 5, that gives me 15. Another Yud is 10, that gives me 25. And another Hey is another 5, gives me 30. Right? Begematria tlatin havu, it's 30. Amar Rav Huna, says Rav Huna Berei de Rav Yoshua. Says, Hakol modin, everybody is in agreement. Keshechal shlishi shalom. Okay, when the third day of the morning, okay, Liot Erev Haregel occurs on the eve of the holiday, Sha'asur berechitza ad ha'erev. He is forbidden then to wash until the evening. Okay? In other words, till it's just about Yontif. Okay? Amar Rav Nechemia Berei de Rav Yoshua. He tells us the following. Ashkachatinu the Rav Papi. I once found Rav Papi, Ula Rav Papa, and Rav Papa. Diyadve v'ka'amrei halacha k'Rav Huna Berei de Rav Yoshua. That they were saying that the law is like Rav Huna, the son of Rabbi Yoshua. Okay, right? What happens? Ikeda Amre, and there are those who say, Amar Rav Nechemia Berei de Rav Yosef, Ishkechatin hu le Rav Papi, le Rav Papa, le Rav Huna Berei de Rav Yoshua. I saw the three of them sitting around, the Yadve Ka'amre. They were sitting and they were saying, Hakol Modim. Everybody is in agreement. She'im Chal Shlishi Shalo, that if the third day of his mourning, right, Liot Erev Haregel, comes out on the eve of the holiday, She'asur berechitza ad ha'erev. Okay, that he is forbidden to bathe until the evening. In other words, just
two Rev Nechemias?
no.
Rev Yehoshua, the son of Rev Yosef?
Yeah.
There are two.
For some reason, they don't hold mitzvah Yom Kippur.
That's right. They would not hold Mitzvah Yom Kikulo because they're saying that you can't bathe till just about Yontif time. Right? Okay, so what happens? Bai mine Abai, mi Rabba. And so Abai asks the following. Okay, Kavru Beregel. If they bury the person on the holiday. Okay, now, are we permitted to bury on a holiday? Okay, on second day of a Yom Tov, yes, but through Gentiles. One can bury on the Yom Tov. Okay. In Israel, only one day, right. But in Chutz La'aretz, we do bury on Yom Tov Sheni. Okay? Good question.
What's that?
Yom Arichta, if it's Rosh Hashanah. You know what? I would have to double check on that. I can't really, don't feel comfortable giving you an answer without double checking. Could be, could be.
One day, no matter what.
Okay. I mean, I can tell you that in my experience, I did have at least one occasion where I walked from the end of Shul on second day Yontif to the cemetery, did the funeral, and then went home. Okay. Right? And it was all done by Gentile funeral home. Okay.
It was uphill both directions.
What? Okay. In any case, what did he ask Rava? Kavru beregel, regel olelo leminyan shloshim. That the holiday is included in the shloshim. Oh.
When you say it was done on the second day, did the any of the mourners participate by traveling in some years? They didn't do anything.
No, they didn't do anything. Okay. Oh, ein regel oleh leminyan shloshim. What do we say that the holiday is not included? Leminyan shiva lo kimebayele. For regarding the shiva, we don't ask that question. De lo nahaga mitzvat shiva beregel, because it's clear that we don't observe, I'll use that word, the shiva on the holiday. Kikam mebayele leminyan shloshim. But where we ask here, it's in regards to shloshim. Tekan nahaga mitzvat shloshim beregel, because it may be that we do observe that in regards to observe the holiday as part of the regular, as part of the shloshim. Mai, what is it? Amarle eino oleh. He said to him, it is not included. Eitive. But I might challenge that with the following. Hakover et meito shnei yamim kodem haregel. One who buries his deceased 2 days before. Okay, similar to what your question was, Zed, right? Okay, that in other words, he did not get to observe that, what we'll call for the moment, the minimal 3 days. Okay, what happens? Monech hamisha yamim achar haregel. Okay, so what happens? He does not observe it during Chol HaMoed, but he must pick up or continue, says this, okay, his avelus after the holiday. U'melachto ne'eset al yedei acherim, okay, va'avadav v'shifchotav osim b'tzina b'toch beito.
If he doesn't have any.
That's a different. All right, so his work is done by others. His servants work privately in his home.
The Yom Tov that has no effect on the kibbutz?
Wait, we'll see. What happened? Ve'en rabim mitaskinimo. And the community does not become involved with him. In other words, they don't come and pay condolences during Chol HaMoed because he's not observing Shiva then. All right? He's going to pick up the Shiva after the Chol HaMoed.
We're talking about after Moed.
Right.
So,
Right? But the Gemara then continues, Shekfan nitasku bo beregel. Why? He says because then they're able to pay their condolences on the holiday. In other words, the implication being that even after the holiday has occurred, after the Shloshim, it is still permitted to extend condolences to somebody. I'm just going to finish up now. Klalo shel davar. What is the general principle? Kol shehu mishum avel, regel mafsiko. In any kind of status of a mourner, the holiday provides a break. The kol shehu mishum iskei rabim, but if it's in regards to the community, in other words, people paying condolences, ein regel mafsiko. The holiday does not stop. Okay, implying that if let's say somebody had a mace before the holiday and now they're down here, okay, and you didn't get a chance to extend condolences, you could still extend condolences to them when you saw them in shul on the holiday. Okay, and we'll stop right there, and that's we'll pick up tomorrow.
Well, you said the holiday provides a break. Does that mean that's the end of Shiva or the end of Shloshim?
Yes, that's it would end. It would end.
1 or 2 days before, then it's gonna work.
No, in other words, it would be the fact the holiday still provides a break, regardless.
As long as you can sit for a couple of hours.
Exactly.
And the Yom Tov provides a break.
Uh-huh.